pronounce Neek, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we are ready to start with the student athletes from Colorado State. We have them for about 15 minutes. And remind everybody to turn off your cell phones, to raise your hand. Let's get the handheld mic to you. Let's know who you are, who you're with. And we will have questions. If you have questions on Zoom, use the raise hand function and we'll get to you. First question, right there, front row.
Hi, Mike Burrell from CSURams.com. First off, Isaiah, you and Max have a lot of history throughout your careers. One, how would you describe him as a player? And two, how would you put into words meeting him again on this stage?
Yeah, me and Max go way back. We played against each other in AAU as kids. Our high schools were in the same conference, so we had a lot of matchups, even worked out with each other in the summertime over the past few years. And he's an electric player. He's been that way since he was young, could score at all three levels, makes plays for others, super quick and dynamic that way. And it's going to be really cool just seeing him out here at this stage, at this level, and just kind of seeing how our journeys have crossed paths again is going to be really cool.
Front row.
Guys, Steve Reed from the Associated Press. Is for all of you. You know, what is it? Do you feel like it is a advantage or disadvantage having played a game and kind of gotten the jitters out and coming in and having a game under your belt?
Yeah, I think we're kind of looking at it as a little bit of a good thing. We kind of got our feet wet in the tournament already, so I think we're just ready to go. Kind of got those first little nervousness out, and I think we're just excited to be here and ready to go.
Neek?
No, I agree with what Joe said. It's definitely a good thing. Getting to get all the jitters out. Everybody's now played a game in the tournament, so we feel good going into this next one against a high-level opponent.
Isaiah?
I think it definitely could play to our advantage a little bit. Obviously, the traveling stuff can be tough, but at this point, man, nobody's tired. The adrenaline is high. Guys are ready to go. It's going to be fun.
Again, front row.
This might be somewhat unfair for Neek, but you guys made the first statement for the Mountain West, considering how everybody felt where you guys were seated. Do you guys now become fans of the teams that you just spent the last 2 months battling with?
Go ahead. Your voice.
Man, yeah, it's you want to see. I said this before, but you want to see the Mountain West teams do good. It just helps your status and your resume, and just proves what we've done this year. You know what I'm saying? So, we definitely want to see those guys do well. For me, it's a little different. It's my homies that I played with over there that they're playing against too. So that one's up in the air for me. But I definitely want to see the Mountain West teams do well and just prove what our league is about.
Isaiah, want to take a crack?
Yeah, similar to what Neek said. The Mountain West was a bear this year, top to bottom, no easy games. Just such high-level basketball was being played. You want to see teams come into this tournament and really almost prove themselves even further, because I personally have been in the league for a long time, so I know what it looks like, but to do it on the national stage would be good for the league.
Joel, want to talk about the conference and the tournament?
Yeah, I mean, they kind of both nailed it, but it's exciting to see them go out there, play against a tough opponent like Colorado. But to see the Mountain West succeed would be super exciting for everyone and for us, and because it has been a challenge, and the Mountain West is a really good league.
Yeah, Kevin Sweeney, SI. It's for Isaiah, but if either two of you guys have any thoughts on this as well, I'm curious your opinion. Your team is kind of well-traveled, right? I mean, you've been around college basketball for a long time. You bring in Neek from a high major, Joel from a D2, Joe Palmer from D3, Cartier from D2. Like, guys have been through a lot of college basketball games. How have you kind of molded those personalities together into a winning unit, especially early in the year, right? I think a lot of teams struggle when they're piecing together new faces. You guys did so much work in the non-conference.
Yeah, I think the experience really has been one of our superpowers, the maturity level of our group. Obviously, we're still young and figuring things out, but for the most part, we've been very solid, steady, connected, and I think that that's going to help us win a lot of games, and it has so far this year. So hopefully we continue that. Also, guys bringing in different experiences, like Joel played in a D2 Elite Eight, Final Four. Pat Cartier has played in some big-time games where he was. Neek has played in the NCAA tournament in his own right, and me as well. So we're kind of just merging all these experiences together, understanding that we've all seen different things, and hopefully that just leads to some execution on the floor as well.
Joel, Neek, you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think he nailed it. It was really just the chemistry right out the gate. It was super evident right when we got here in June. And so I think that really molded kind of what we had going on. I think everyone had the same mindset going into the year. Everyone wanted to win. We were, again, a very mature group, and I think that really led to our advantage.
As you guys go ahead in the second game, it's an extremity of styles from one game to the next. But do you feel really confident with what you did and that by sticking to your guns, that will still lead to success?
This is going to be a tough game no matter what. Obviously, at this stage, we know what we do really well, and you don't want to start straying too far away from that. But we also do a really good job of adjusting to our opponents as well. And Texas does some things very unique that we're going to have to be ready for. They're a very athletic, tough, disciplined, scrappy group, and that changes some things about how we want to attack them. But at the same time, we also do some things really well that if we stick to our guns, we can have some success as well.
We're open to questions for people on Zoom. If you have any questions, use the raise hand function. We have any other questions here in the room? No? Any questions on Zoom? Okay, guys. Nice job. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
On deck 220, Colorado State coach Medved. And then the next after that we'll have a little break, 250, student athlete St. Peter's. Okay, we're ready to start with Coach Medved.
Sure.
Your show whenever you're ready.
Exciting to be here. It's been quite the journey the last week to get here to Charlotte. Been a great journey this season, but after a great performance from our guys last night, we're excited to be here and have the opportunity to play Texas tomorrow night.
Front row.
Mike Brohard from CSURams.com. Nico, your first two games are going to be quite a contrast in styles in the opponent. But do you feel like what you do best plays well no matter who you play?
Well, I think every team would say that, is that, you know, you get to this point in the year and you don't have a ton of time to prepare. You just got to do the, you know, I explained to our team, you know, last night, you know, about 9% of the teams in college basketball get an opportunity to be an at-large team. So you're among the best of the best, and you did that by doing certain things well throughout the season. Now's not the time to get away from those things. Now is the time to double down and embrace those things. And so, yes, I mean, we have to do that. And just like our opponent, I think, would say the same thing. The things that allowed them to get to this point right here are the things you want to rely on. And yes, your opponent presents all sorts of challenges. Texas does. But yeah, we have to go out there tomorrow night and do the things that we've done at a high level to be successful.
Nico, obviously it's been a really good year for, Ben Porto, Sports Business Journal, for the, it's been a really good year for the Mountain West, obviously, both on the basketball side and the football side. I guess just when you look at kind of the structure of college sports on the West Coast right now, how do you feel like the Mountain West kind of fits into that, and where do you guys kind of feel like this league is going, at least moving forward?
I mean, I'll talk from a basketball perspective. You know, I think we're uniquely positioned, obviously, with the current Pac-12 dissolving. The Mountain West now is in their third year of getting multiple teams in the tournament. This year we had a record 6 in the NCAA tournament. You know, I feel like the long-term vision for our league from a basketball standpoint is to try to be like a Big East version of the West Coast. We've got a lot of great coaches, great programs that really care about basketball, tremendous venues, great players, you know, all those things. And you know, unfortunately, sometimes I think maybe a lot of people don't stay up to watch the Mountain West after dark, and I don't know how many people maybe watched us play. They maybe heard, oh, your league's really, really good this year. But it was. I've been in this league as an assistant now and a head coach for a long time, and this is as good as I've ever seen it. And I think we deserve 6 teams. We talked about the seeding if you want, but it is what it is, and we're here, and I think our league's in a great position here moving forward.
A lot of people are talking about the seeding, and last night you guys got to make the first statement for the league. Do you now become a fan of all the teams that you battled with the last couple of months?
Oh, absolutely. You'd like to see your league do well this time of year. You know, when you don't like playing against those guys because they're all so good and well coached and all those things. But yeah, once we get to this time of the year, we're pulling hard for all the other teams in the league. You know, last night some of the first texts I got were from the head coaches of the other teams in our league. I mean, that's kind of how it goes, and it'll be the same thing. We'll be tuned in, cheering for them, and we want them to have success because that's good for all of us, and respect the heck out of those guys, and glad we could get a win, first of all, for our program stuff, but it's great to represent the Mountain West as well.
To our friends on Zoom, if you have a question, please use the raise hand function. We'll get to you. Next question, middle of the room.
Yeah, Kevin Sweeney, SI. You know, the guys that you added this spring and also last year with, you know, Joe Palmer and Cartier, just so many old dudes that have played in a lot of big games, whether they, you know, NCAA tournaments at lower levels or, you know, conference championship games, whatever. Curious how much you think that preparation and that experience has helped you in March so far, and, you know, how important was that in the recruiting process of wanting guys who'd been through those type of games?
First of all, it's glad to see you again. Like, I know in Vegas, you're like, oh, maybe I'll see you in Charlotte, and sure as heck, we're here. You know, I think that definitely plays a factor. I think the other factor for us is, you know, I thought the regular season really weighed on us down the stretch of, you can say whatever you want, right? But the elephant in the room, hey, we want to make the NCAA tournament. And I thought we kind of got to March and we feel like we're in now. And I think some of those guys can kind of just let loose and play again. But number one, those guys, they're so appreciative, right? They come from lower levels. They've had a lot of success. They're so appreciative of being on this stage. I mean, Patrick Cartier, night before the game, he just, man, coach, this is awesome, you know, and it is awesome, you know, and so I'm so thankful that those guys get to appreciate that. But at the same point in time, they've played a lot of basketball. They believe in themselves. They believe in what we do, and they are older guys. And now, I thought we played a really tough schedule, out of conference, in conference. Those guys are battle tested, and they're older. And yeah, I think they're ready to compete on the big stage. And I think we saw at least the first step of that last night.
Front row.
Coach Steve Reed from the Associated Press. Rodney Terry was talking about this point guard matchup and said, you know, I don't think there's a better one in the country right now in this tournament than what you're going to see tomorrow. I wonder if you could speak to that as well.
Absolutely. And, you know, Max Asmus is a guy I know Isaiah's really, you know, they know each other for forever, right, as kids. We played against him at Oral Roberts. He came to Moby, you know, several years back. He's a terrific player. I mean, when he gets over half court, it's on. I mean, he's like a Steph Curry, you know, in college basketball. Great young man, great leader, just like Isaiah. You know, they're obviously a little bit different players that way. Isaiah's maybe a little bit more of a passer, but they both can do, you know, everything at an elite level. And I agree, it should be a treat for the fans. This could be one of the best guard matchups you'll see here in the NCAA tournament. And I know it's two just outstanding young men too who do it the right way. So it's going to be fun.
To our right.
Nico, you mentioned seeding and obviously all the Mountain West teams that got in this year, but looking at the tournament, I know there's a lot of discussion about expanding it, changing it, things like that. I'm curious kind of where you fall on that front and what you think maybe, you know, the tournament might look like moving forward or should look like moving forward.
Well, I don't know that my opinion matters so much. I think it's really a formality that it will expand at some point. I think everybody can read the tea leaves as far as what's going on. I just hope that, you know, when that happens, I'm not even going to say if, because I believe that it will. I hope they do it in a real thoughtful manner, you know, that we figured out how we're going to do that. They don't try to make it too big. And I also hope that they continue to find a way to allow access, because I think that's really what makes it special. And I understand what drives this stuff better than anybody, but this is the greatest tournament in the world. It's truly an American sports experience, and I think that's what makes it beautiful. And so I hope we can find a way when we expand it to do it, but still keep the integrity of what we have, because it's just the coolest thing in American sports.
Middle of the room.
Kevin Lytle, Coloradoan. I was just wondering timing, like this summer, Zay obviously was going through kind of the draft thing, and obviously you guys are kind of roster building. Was him and his return impact at all on like Joel and Neek and, you know, maybe some of their interests in joining, you know, this program and obviously how they could combine with Zay?
Well, I mean, it's a pretty easy sell. There's not anybody that wouldn't want to play with Isaiah Stevens. I mean, you look at him and just the kind of person he is, and he makes everybody around him better, makes their life easier. So that's an easy sell. But, you know, really in their case, I mean, they made the decision to come here, you know, before Isaiah had officially, you know, so they were all in before that. But, you know, I think they all felt, they knew that Isaiah was either going to come back to play for us or decide to go professionally. And so, like all players like that, they wish the other guy the best, but they were all in no matter what. But then when that became official that he was coming back, we're like, man, we really got a chance to do something this year.
Yeah, you mentioned that it was, you know, pro or stay with Isaiah. There was no consideration really of the portal. I guess, what does that say about him in this day and age? And kind of off of that, what does it mean to you to be able to reward him with a trip to the NCAA tournament for his, you know, last college games?
Oh, man, you know, it's so cool because he's a unicorn, and, you look back, we had another young man, David Roddy, who ended up going in the first round. It was the same thing. He was not entertaining transferring. He was going to come back. And I think that I love that players, love being in our program and feel like they're getting better and they're being successful. But for Isaiah to bet on, I'm going to come back here. I love it here, and I believe we can win. And I think he really had a chip on his shoulder because he's won everywhere at a high level, state champion in high school. And, 2 years ago was kind of an outlier. It didn't go the way we wanted it to for a lot of reasons. And for him to come back and now have an opportunity again to win at a high level, go to the NCAA tournament, and now already get a win and start to advance. It's just awesome for him, and I love to see young people rewarded, for doing that and not being afraid to be different, And he's just truly a special young man, and glad he's playing for me, us.
Any other questions here in the room, on Zoom? Okay, thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Jeff. All right, appreciate it. See you tomorrow.